This is the cost of living crisis and how it caused a difficult Christmas for many.
It's quite normal to see an increase in debt inquiries after Christmas. Compared to previous years, it's quite a lot more.
Let's look at a new survey commissioned by the BBC. It's found that just under half of people used credit to fund at least some of their Christmas spending. And of those nearly half, about a third says they're not confident they'll be able to pay back what they borrowed. In fact, now more than 80% of people say they're concerned by the rising cost of living and its impact on their finances. In a moment, we'll hear from the Citizens Advice in Eastbourne and a debt podcaster as well. But first, the BBC's cost of living correspondent Coletta Smith has more.
It's showtime at the Castleford Tigers dance class. And like so many people, parents here are working hard to make sure their children still have something to cheer about while keeping a lid on spending.
For me, it's the shopping. The bills, you try something I used to get for £3.50 for some chicken breast and now £4.50. And if you're doing that, that's a big thing for me.
Nearly half the people in our survey said they changed where they shopped to try and save money.
And when it comes to like the girls and things, like they've gone previous years and we've not had to say no to them. But now we are having to say no because obviously for the kids, they all think, well, everything's free.
Christmas is always a big spending point, but with budgets already stretched with the basics, 31% of people told us they'd spent less than planned this Christmas. But it's not easy for those with children.
I personally sometimes feel the pressure of social media, and you see all your friends doing stuff with all their children, doing this, doing that, and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, and I had to say, no, I'm only doing a few things over the Christmas period. And
Activities to me.
Yeah, like so going to see Santa, or going to see the lights, or doing something Christmassy, but I did cut it down a lot this year.
Nearly half of those surveyed said they'd paid for at least some Christmas spending on credit.
Nowadays, who does carry cash? So you spend in your card and it's literally just a tap for everything and you don't realise how much you are spending.
And almost a third of that group said they're not confident they'll be able to pay the debt back. More than half the people that we spoke to for this survey said in the last 6 months they've struggled to pay for essential bills for their households. So finding activities that are cheap and free, particularly for children, is becoming increasingly important for lots of people.
Yeah, whereas we might get a nicer pizza, we'd have to get a cheaper one and all those kind of things. Takeaways are just kind of for special treats now rather than kind of once or twice a month. And so yeah, there's some deliberate choices that we just had to make in terms of cutting back.
For Alistair, with 3 children at home, the energy bills have gone through the roof.
It's kind of like November blankets. I'm not putting the heating on, it's not going to happen.
And he's not alone. In fact, nearly 7 in 10 people in our survey said they've turned the thermostat down on their heating this winter. Households across the country are continuing to change habits and trim spending across almost every area of life, salami slicing the family cutbacks to keep the show on the road.
Coletta Smith reporting. Alan Bruzon, Chief Officer at Citizens Advice Eastbourne, is with us now. Hi, Alan.
Morning.
So let's just go through some of those numbers in the BBC survey on this. So about half of people use credit to fund some of their Christmas spending. What do you make of that?
Well, not unusual really. It's something that we find debt inquiries actually slow down during December whilst people concentrate on having a good time and organising the Christmas that they want to have for their family. And then it's followed by a kind of impact when the credit statements come through mid-January around now. And that's when people get a bit of a sharp wake-up call. And it's worse this year because of the cost of living situation generally. Other costs are high. So people are contacting us that are really in quite a state about their finances and quite concerned about how they're going to be able to pay things.
I suppose some people might say that actually have a smaller Christmas, don't borrow to get you through Christmas, but perhaps that's been essential for some.
Well, it's difficult, and I think Christmas is an important time for people psychologically to be able to enjoy themselves during the winter, especially now when it's gloomy and the financial position is really difficult. I wish we were having this conversation, in November or so, and we would be able to talk to people about how to approach it. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. It's all about finding solutions now.
But what about that 80% of people say they're concerned by the rising cost of living and its impact on their finances? So that's a vast majority now.
Yeah, that's more. It's affecting people wider than we've seen before. More people concerned and anxious about how this is actually going to play out in future. There's a lot of media attention on this. And some of the messages seem to be giving the impression that people's bills, especially to do with energy, will rise to quite high levels as the thresholds are increased. It's not guaranteed that will happen. It's all to do with your usage. But these messages have got into people's minds, and they're looking at their bank statements and their bills, and it's already building up and having some sort of effect. And that's when they need to come to us to get advice about how to respond to things.
And for anyone listening now who is in a situation which is worse than it was before Christmas, how can Citizens Advice help in Eastbourne there, Alan?
Well, we can do a number of different things. We can make sure that you're receiving all the benefits that you should be and getting the benefit of the government support schemes in case there are any gaps in those. We can help you have a look at your expenditure, your energy usage, make sure that that's being spent effectively. We can help by negotiating and giving options for dealing with debt. And that's the one thing that's really worth pointing out. There are solutions available for people when they're in debt. And when you come to talk to us, we're non-judgmental. We'll talk through those options with you, and it's your choice. Whatever happens, it's your decision, and we'll support you with whatever help you need.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bruzon there at Citizens Advice in Eastbourne. Ripon Ray runs a debt podcast on his website, yourdrdebt.com. Hi, Ripon.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Morning. I'm well, thanks. Hope you're okay as well. What's the first thing you would say to somebody who has just built up a bit too much debt after Christmas?
It's a tough one, actually. I do want to recap what Alan just said earlier. If there are any issues, no doubt, do seek advice. There is advice available, both not just simply within Citizen Advice at Eastbourne. Some people may not want to come out and go to an advice centre. Instead, they want to do things online. So there are other online free government-funded online services are there. One is, of course, Step Change. Again, it will look at your overall finances in a confidential way, and it's going to be free. You also have debt-free advice, again, giving you free advice without going to Citizen Advice Bureau, funded very similar to Citizen Advice, coming from national lotteries, central government, or even local councils.
And in which order should we deal with things? Say we owe our energy company some money or a credit card some money. Which one do you deal with first?
Now, a very good question. I mean, you're right. When it comes to giving debt advice, because I've been a debt advisor for, I guess, over 7 years, I mean, when it comes to creditors, I know we start with credit cards, but really from the perspective of a debt advice, a credit card are literally seen as non-priority debt. And in terms of types of priority, and I know we have been talking a great deal around fuel, and rightly so, because the ultimate sanction a fuel supplier can do, although numbers are very limited, is this disconnection. And the other things I would emphasize is that non-payment of rent leads to eviction, i.e. losing your home. Non-payment of your council tax, again, leads to losing, that's what you live with, isn't it? The case goes to a magistrate court where the council obtains a summons, and then if all the options are exhausted, the court can put you in prison for 6 months. So that's my priority.
So inaction, not really an option. Thank you. Ripon Ray there, yourdrdebt.com.